Here is a similar exercise playing seventh harmonies with 3 quarter notes, followed by a quarter rest. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, rest. 1, 2, 3, rest. For the octave harmony, we will alternate between eighth notes and eighth rests. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Visit the bonus section on this video for a melody and harmony ear training exercise. A triad is a group of 3 notes played together. A chord is a group of 3 or more notes played together. So it is with our triads that we begin our study of chords. A chord is made up of the first, third, and fifth interval. In the key of C, the notes C, E, and G make up a C chord. The third interval gives each chord its major or minor quality. So since C to E is a major third interval, the C chord is a major chord. You can call this chord C or elaborate and call it C major. The choice is yours. Earlier, we learned 3 inversions for our C scale. There are also different chord variations and inversions. With the C chord, we have the notes C, E, and G. Any combination of these notes in any order will still produce a C chord. For example, if we look at a fretboard note chart, we see there is an open E note on the 4th string. So we can add that to our chord so that we are now playing E, C, an octave E, and G. You might call this a C with a low E bass note. Some people choose to write this type of chord as a C/E chord. When you see a slash symbol in a chord box, the first letter is the name of the chord and the second letter is the lowest note of the chord. If the bass note is a part of the chord formula, it is not necessary to write it as a slash chord. The option is entirely up to you. Another variation of the C chord would be to include the G note on the 4th string 3rd fret, playing G, C, E, and G. You can also choose to invert the chord by starting with a different chord note in different positions on the same string. For example, our first inversion is the C chord we have already learned. using the C note on the 3rd string 3rd fret, E on the 2nd string 2nd fret, and G open. The next inversion is found by moving to the next chord note on the 3rd string, E on the 7th fret, and playing along with it G on the 2nd string 5th fret and C on the 1st string 5th fret. And the third inversion would be to start with G on the 3rd string 10th fret, C played on the 2nd string 10th fret, and E on the 1st string 9th fret. For the remainder of the chords, I will just go over the first inversion based on the root, 3rd, and 5th intervals. But once you have had a chance to experiment with them, make use of the fretboard note charts located in the bonus stills section of this video to find different extensions and variations. To build the second chord in the key of C, start with the 2nd scale note, D. When we apply the 1-3-5 formula, D is our 1st, F is the 3rd, and A is the 5th. Since F is a minor 3rd above D, 1.5 steps from D, our second chord in the key of C is D minor. To build the third chord in the key of C, start with E, C, D, E. When we apply the 1-3-5 chord formula to E, E is our 1st, or chord root, G is the 3rd, and B is the 5th. G is a minor 3rd, or 1.5 steps from E, so our third chord in the key of C is E minor. The fourth note in the C scale is F. Applied to the 1-3-5 chord formula, we have the notes F, A, and C. A is a major 3rd, or 2 whole steps distance from F, so our 4 chord in the key of C is F major. The 5th note in the key of C is G, and when we apply the 1-3-5 formula, we have G, B, D. G is a major chord because B is a major 3rd above G. A is the 6th note in the key of C. The 1-3-5 formula gives us A, C, and E. C is a minor 3rd above A, so the 6th chord in the key of C is A minor. The 7th note in the key of C is B. The 1-3-5 chord formula applied to the 7th major scale note gives us an entirely different chord called a diminished chord. Here we have the notes B, D, and F. D is a minor 3rd above B, and F is a flat or diminished 5th interval above B. So if we want to stay within our scale, or within the key of C, our 7th chord will be a B diminished. Altogether, the C scale harmonized as chords is C, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished, and C again. Visit the bonus section of this video for an ear training and sight reading exercise for chords. Musicians often use numbers in place of chord names when introducing a song to a band. For example, the chords of a song might be introduced as 1-4-5 or 1-6-4-5. As we learned, each note in a scale has a numeric value or an interval. C is 1, D is 2, E is the third, F is the fourth, G is 5, A is 6, B is 7, C is 8 or 1 again. When a scale has been harmonized into chords, each chord is often referred to with the same number, but it is written with Roman numerals. Minor chords may also use lowercase Roman numerals. For an example of using scale notes as numbers, let's play a 1-4-5-4 chord progression. Translated to our key, the 1 chord is C, the 4 chord is F, the 5 chord is G, then back to the 4 chord F. When eighth notes are bracketed into groups of 3, the note value is called a triplet. This divides each count into 3 pulses. We learn that quarter notes equal 1 beat and are counted 1, 2, 3, 4. Next, we learn that eighth notes divide each beat into 2 pulses and are counted 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Triplets divide each count into 3 pulses and are counted 1 and a, 2 and a, 3 and a, 4 and a. Here is an exercise using triplets to play each note of our chords individually. This is called an arpeggio. Sixteenth notes divide each beat into 4 pulses. To do this, we are now going to count each beat as 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. Here is another arpeggio exercise. We'll start with the high C chord and descend in pitch using 16th notes to arpeggiate each chord. When someone refers to the key of C, they are referring to the natural scale, or C major, or C Ionian scale. When someone refers to the key of A, they are referring to the key of A major or A Ionian. A major is the C to C natural scale pattern, or scale degrees, but applied to the A note as the root. The distance between notes can be measured with whole steps and half steps. A whole step is equal to 2 frets on the guitar. A half step is equal to 1 fret. When you want to change the key of a scale or a song, just apply the same pattern of whole steps and half steps to the key you wish to play in. For example, the C natural major scale from root to root is made of a whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, and a half step. This formula will apply to any key of music, regardless of what key it is, A, B, C, D, or any other key. This whole step, half step, whole, half formula will always make a major scale. So if we move from C as our root note up 1 fret to the D flat note and apply the same scale formula, we are now playing a D flat major scale. If we move up 1 more fret and apply the same formula, we are in the key of D. The next note on the 6th fret of the 3rd string is an E flat note. So this is the key of E flat, or the E flat scale. The 7th fret of the 3rd string brings us to an E note, or an E major scale. The 8th fret is F. The 9th fret is F sharp. The 10th fret is G. The 11th fret is G sharp. The 12th fret is A. The 13th fret is B flat. The 14th fret is B. And the 15th fret is the C octave. I'd also like to demonstrate that some of these patterns repeat in the open position as well. For example, the 12th fret was an A note. Our 3rd string open is an A note. So if we apply the same formula of half steps and whole steps, we have an A major scale. Applied to the 1st fret, we have another way to play our B flat major scale. The 2nd fret is B, and as we know, the 3rd fret is C. When we change keys, we are adding sharp and flat notes. Instead of writing a sharp or flat symbol in front of each altered note, we can use a sharp or flat in the key signature to specify which scale to use. For example, 1 sharp note in the key signature tells us that the music is in the key of G, because the G scale only uses 1 sharp. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, then G. A key signature with 2 sharp notes indicates the key of D, which uses the notes D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. The key of A uses 3 sharps. The key of E uses 4 sharps. For your benefit, the following sections teach you to play a melody, harmony, and triads in every key of music. Although we have already learned the key of C, I will still include it here so you can use this section to practice playing in all keys of music. An image called the circle of fifths has been used for ages to help musicians remember the names of each key signature. The top center of the circle of fifths represents the key of C, which uses no sharps or flats in the key signature. This location on the circle of fifths can be considered the 0 position. As we move clockwise from the 0 or C position, each position will represent a note 1 perfect fifth interval up in pitch. And that position will tell you how many sharp notes are in its key signature. So from C in the 0 position, the next space will represent the G note, or the key of G, which uses 1 sharp in the key signature. A perfect fifth up from G is a D note, which uses 2 sharps in the key signature. A perfect fifth from D is A, which uses 3 sharps in the key signature. Up another fifth, we have the key of E using 4 sharps. A fifth up, and we have the key of B using 5 sharps. The next fifth interval brings us to F sharp with 6 sharps in the key signature. And the next fifth interval brings us to C sharp, a key that uses 7 sharp notes. There are 7 sharp key signatures and 7 flat key signatures. Let's back up to the B spot on the circle of fifths. Starting at this location, there is an enharmonic key that shares the same tones of the key of B, but they all have different names. This enharmonic key is called the key of C flat. Technically, there is no C flat note in the musical alphabet because there are no sharp or flat notes between B and C. However, in rare cases, there are instances where the writer does in fact need to consider the key as C flat instead of B, in which case the key signature will use 7 flat notes. In the circle of fifths, the flat keys are written inside the circle, and any enharmonic keys will line up as with the case of the key of B and the key of C flat. From C flat, if we move up a fifth, we will reach the G flat note. For the flat keys, we will count down in our key signature, so the key of G flat uses 6 flat notes. Up another fifth, and we are at the key of D flat using 5 flat notes in the key signature. A fifth up, and we have the key of A flat with 4 flat notes. Up a fifth to E flat with 3 flat notes in the key signature. Another fifth brings us to B flat with 2 flat notes in the key signature. From B flat, up a fifth in pitch brings us to F, which uses 1 flat in the key signature. And finally, F brings us back to the key of C, which completes the circle of fifths. Now that we have learned to play in each musical key, let's go over some advanced theory. We know a chord is made up of 3 or more notes. The formula for a triad is to use the first, third, and fifth interval. The next chord extension above a triad is to build a 7th chord consisting of the first, third, fifth, and 7th interval. In the key of C, the 1 or C chord would build a major 7th chord because the B note is a major 7th distance from C. So again, the formula for a 7th chord is the first, third, fifth, and 7th, or C, E, G, and B. Technically, a chord is when you play all of the notes together. That is very difficult to do on a bass guitar, so it's common for bass players to arpeggiate 7th chords. The 2 chord in the key of C would build a D minor 7. When we combine the 1, 3, 5, 7 intervals, we have D, F, A, and C. The 3 chord also produces a minor 7. In this case, it's an E minor 7, E, G, B, and D. The 4 chord will build an F major 7, F, A, C, E. The 5 chord is a major chord, G, but the 7th, A, is the same distance as a minor 7th interval. Since G is not a minor chord, when we add the A note, the 5 chord in any key will be called a dominant 7th chord, or you can simply call this a 7th chord. G, B, D, and F. The 6th chord is A minor 7. A, C, E, and G. The 7th chord is a B diminished chord. When we add the 7th interval, A, the B diminished becomes a B minor 7 flat 5 chord. So far, we've learned intervals starting with the root up to its octave. There are also compound intervals that allow you to count higher than 7. For example, the octave of the root can be called the 8th interval in addition to the 1st interval. We know that D is the 2nd interval. However, it can also be considered the 9th as well. The reason for using a 9th interval is to build a 5-tone chord beyond 7th chords. When we combine the 1st, 3rd, 5th, 7th, and 9th intervals, we now have 9 chords. In the key of C, the 1 chord made up of C, E, G, B, and D will create a C major 9 chord. C, E, G, B, D. The 2 chord will be a D minor 9. D, F, A, C, E. The 3 chord is a little different. If you recall from our introduction to intervals, the distance between E and F is a half step. So when we use compound intervals to extend chords, the distance between E and the 2nd F note is a flat 9 interval. Therefore, when harmonizing the 3 chord as a 9th chord, we end up with an E minor 7 flat 9 chord, using the notes E, G, B, D, and F. In theory, this chord is often altered by raising the F note to an F sharp and played as an E minor 9 chord. The 4 chord builds an F major 9, F, A, C, E, G. The 5 chord is a G9, G, B, D, F, A. The 6 chord is an A minor 9, A, C, E, G, B. And the 7 chord is a B minor 7, flat 9, flat 5, B, D, F, A, C. In theory, the 7th chord is often altered, raising the flat 9 interval C to a major 9th C sharp. The new chord becomes B minor 9, flat 5, B, D, F, A, C sharp. There are no 10th or 12th chords in music theory. Since the basic foundation of a chord is the 1, 3, 5 intervals, when you compound these intervals, these notes are already present. E is our 3rd, so in compound intervals, E is also the 10th. And G is our 5th, which is the same as the 12th in compound intervals. To use scale notes to build the C 11th chord, we will create a C major 11th. C, E, G, B, D, F. This chord is often altered by raising the 11th interval, or F note, to a sharp 11, or F sharp note, resulting in a C major 9 sharp 11 chord. The 2 chord, D, will build a D minor 11, D, F, A, C, E, G. The 3 chord is an E minor 11 flat 9 when sticking with the scale notes, E, G, B, D, F, A. It is often altered to an E minor 11 by raising the 9th interval to F sharp. The 4 chord creates F major 9 sharp 11, F, A, C, E, G, B. The 5 chord is G11, G, B, D, F, A, C. It is often altered to a G9 sharp 11, G, B, D, F, A, C sharp. The sixth chord is A minor 11, A, C, E, G, B, D. The seventh chord creates a B minor 11, flat 9, flat 5, B, D, F, A, C, E. This chord is often altered to B minor 11, flat 5, B, D, F, A, C sharp, E. For guitar music, 13th chords usually do not include the 11th interval. When it does, the chord name must list the type of 11th interval used. For example, if the one chord included a sharp 11th interval, you would call the chord a C major 13 sharp 11. If the 11th interval is not specific, as in C major 13, you will omit the 11th interval. So our one chord will be a C major 13, made of a C, E, G, B, D, A. When a chord is lacking a third interval, it is considered a suspended chord. The lack of a third interval creates a neutral feel to the chord because it is not major or minor. A suspended second chord, or 5 add 2 chord, uses the 1, 2, and 5 interval. Applied to C, this is C, D, and G. The combined intervals 1, 4, and 5 make a suspended 4 chord, or a sus4 chord. Applied to C, this is C, F, and G. You can also suspend 7 through 13 chords by simply eliminating the third interval and replacing it with a fourth interval. By taking an existing triad and adding a second interval, you are creating a second or add 2 chord. The C2 chord would consist of C, D, E, and G. A triad plus a sixth interval will make a sixth chord. For example, C6 is C, E, G, and A. By playing a sixth chord and adding the second or ninth interval, the chord becomes 6/9. To be a 6/9 chord, the seventh interval cannot be present. C6/9 would be C, D, E, G, and A. We've learned note values up to 16th notes. The next value above 16th notes is 32nd notes. Many people find it easiest to use the same count as they would for 16th notes, but play 2 notes for each pulse counted. For example, playing 16th notes, you would count 1 E and a, 2 E and a. When playing 32nd notes, keep the same count, but play 2 notes each time you count. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. Another method is to count each pulse. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. Or 1 counting 32nd notes, 2 counting 32nd notes, and so on. Generally, you would practice this very slow, and once you have the hang of it, you would play the piece at normal speed without counting anything above 16th notes. For your reference, there are note values above 32nd notes, such as the 64th note. These exercises will help strengthen your musical ear and test your ability to read sheet music. The first exercise uses the C major scale. This will help you in 2 ways. First, it is an ear training exercise, which will help you strengthen your musical ear. Second, it also acts as a sight reading exercise, so you can practice reading sheet music. For this exercise, we will only use the first string notes from the C major scale, notes G, A, B, and C. The video of me will cut off your screen, but you will hear me repeat a random note from the scale. While my note rings out, try to match it on your bass guitar. Remember, we are only using notes G, A, B, and C on the first string. So by comparing those 4 notes against mine, you should be able to match what I am playing. The third time I play a note, the sheet music for the note will appear on the screen. At this time, if you haven't matched the note by ear, the sheet music will give you another hint. The fifth time I play the note, the video of me playing will reappear and the location of the note will be revealed. Give it your best shot, and don't worry if you cannot match all of these notes right away. Ear training takes time, so you may have to repeat this exercise several times to get it right. If this has given you trouble, move on through the rest of the video and come back to the ear training sections later. Now we will use the lower half of our C scale, using C on the third string, along with the second string notes D, E, and F. For this exercise, we will use notes from the entire C scale. We learned that a half step on a guitar is 1 fret distance, and a whole step is 2. In this next ear training exercise, I will play a scale note 2 times, giving you time to match it on your guitar. Then I will play the note with the melody of either a half step or whole step. It is up to you to match this melody by playing along with me as I repeat the notes. The third time I play the note, sheet music will appear on the screen. The fifth time, my video will reappear, revealing the note and the melody. Here I will play the starting note, then an interval, and back to the starting note for 2 repetitions. Then I'll play the same notes together as a harmony for 2 repetitions. Try your best to match these intervals on your bass guitar. For our chord ear training exercises, I'll first arpeggiate a random chord from the key of C, starting with the root, third, and fifth interval. Then I'll strum the whole chord, then I'll repeat it. Try to match what I'm playing as quickly as possible.